this is Steve at SteveHuffPhoto.com. I'm here with the Leica X1 menu system. I'm going to just go over briefly the menu selections you can make. First you have resolution, compression. I set mine to DNG and JPEG Superfine. I like to shoot both. You can also set it to JPEG only. There's no RAW only though, which is kind of odd. Auto ISO settings, that's where you set up your auto ISO, much like the M8 or M9. Your metering mode, you have spot metering, center weighted and evaluative. Continuous, that's when you have the camera set to continuous mode, how fast it shoots. The AF assist lamp, you're gonna need it. I recommend turning it on. Manual focus assist, that's where the screen will blow up when you are manually focusing. You could read more on what I think of the manual focusing in the review. Image stabilization, which is a fake image stabilization. It's not an optical or electronic. From what I understand, it takes 2 images and sometimes does more harm than good, so I left it off. The preset film look, you have standard, vivid, natural, black and white natural, and black and white high contrast. I really like the black and white high contrast. It looks really good, especially at ISO 3200. You set this camera at ISO 3200, black and white high contrast, and you have excellent black and white. Standard is, I guess, just the basic what the camera ships with. It's on standard. Vivid will give you punchy colors. Natural, more muted colors. Sharpening, you have your low, medium, low, standard, medium, high, and high. Same with saturation, same with contrast. The external viewfinder, I don't know why it says on, because it's not on. The X1, you can buy an external viewfinder, but it is not an electronic viewfinder. So I have that set to off because I do not have the viewfinder. Flash sync, I don't use the flash, but the flash is right there. Monitor brightness, you have standard, medium, low, low, and it goes all the way up to high. Standard is what I've been keeping it on. Your histogram on or off, reset image numbering, auto review, auto power off. You can set it to power off at 2, 5, or 10 minutes. Auto LCD off, you can have that go off. Color space, you have Adobe and sRGB. You set your date, your time. The shutter volume, you can have it off, low, or high. I have it off. Acoustic signal, I think these are the sounds it makes. Yeah, when I go through the menu, now it's off. I kind of like that on. Okay. Auto rotate, HDMI is basically what connection you're hooking it up to. 1080i, 720p, 480p. Format the card. This formats the card much faster than my M9 does, which is kind of odd. So I'm hoping that they come out with a firmware for the M9 to fix that problem. Firmware version, I'm running firmware version 1.0, and you can set your user profile. Over on the sides, you have your info buttons for when you're playing. Let me turn off the menu. You have your info buttons, your ISO button where you set the ISO. Goes 1, 2, 400, 800, 1600, 3200. White balance settings. The auto white balance on the X1 is superb. I find it works in almost every situation. This is the delete and the focus button. I found to get the best usable focus with the X1, you set it to 1.H, which is the high speed 1-point focus. That's how I was able to get the highest speed of focus. There's your play button. I don't have any images to play except on the onboard. I guess there's some onboard memory because I don't even have a card in here. And over here, exposure let me get rid of that if I can. Your exposure compensation button, your self timer button, if I can turn that off, your self timer button, flash, and if you want autofocus macro or manual focus. I usually keep it at autofocus macro. So there you go, there's the menu system. It's very simple and easy to understand. Here's the top dial, very handsome camera. You have just 2 dials. You can set it to aperture priority mode, which is what I like to shoot in, and then I set my f-stop over here. I usually keep it wide open because the lens at f2.8 is excellent. It's very good at f2.8. It's very sharp. f4 gets a little better, and f5.6 it's probably at its peak, but have no fears of shooting this camera wide open. Here you have your single shot mode, your continuous, which this is not a fast blazing camera, so don't get too excited, and your self timer mode. Whoops. And I wanted to show you the camera is in its case with the grip. It's a very handsome camera. Feels very nice in the hand. I love the design of the X1 and I love the look of it. The only problem with this case that they sent me is I was shooting it the other day, and because it doesn't have the wrap throughs for the strap, it doesn't connect. So I was shooting the camera and the case fell off, and my wife noticed that the case was on the ground. So that's kind of a weird design. It is the full case though, the Ever-Ready case. I was just using the bottom half, so I guess you have to have the full case on in order for it to stay on the camera. So there's the Leica X1. It's a very, very handsome, nice looking camera. You can read the full review at stevehufpphoto.com. The only drawback with the camera is the AF autofocus speed. It's not as snappy and quick as the Micro Four Thirds cameras that are out right now. It's a little bit slower than the Olympus EP2. And it's quite a bit slower than the Panasonic GF1. I was hoping that for $2,000 the camera would be a little more responsive, but this camera has some of the best image quality I have seen from any camera, quite honestly. It has the image quality of the big boys, and it does deliver in that area. If image quality is your number one thing, the Leica X1 would be a camera that you will absolutely love because the styling, the design, it's very nice. The gray, steel gray finish is a little bit fragile. I've been using this every day for almost 3 weeks. I did get a little scuff on it, and I have no idea how that happened because I've been very careful with it. I've never gotten any scuffs on my M cameras, so I'm not sure how that happened. So I do like the camera, I just wish it was a little more responsive. I think if Leica would have made the camera faster, more responsive, faster autofocus, and put a lens on here where you could actually manually focus the lens and set the aperture, that would have been amazingly sweet. That would have been it. I might have even sold my M9 for one of these. The X1, highly recommended if image quality is your number one concern and speed is not. Thanks for looking, and be sure to check out the full review at stevehufpphoto.com. Thank you.